Imagine this. You are a scientist diving beneath 3 meters of solid Antarctic ice. The water is crystal clear, but so cold your skin begins to sting. You look down, your breath quickening in your regulator, and your heart nearly stops. Something massive is moving slowly across the pitch-black ocean floor below you. It is not a small fish or tiny plankton. You see a sea spider with legs wider than a dog, crawling like a monster from a nightmare. Beside it, massive tentacles of a jellyfish drift by, longer than a blue whale. The fish here are so huge, you might mistake them for sharks. This is not a movie. This is reality. Welcome to the world where the freezing cold does not kill life, but instead transforms it into monsters. Scientists call this incredible phenomenon polar gigantism. It only happens in the coldest oceans on Earth, where temperatures stay near 0 degrees Celsius all year round. In these freezing depths, nature is turning small creatures into supersized versions of themselves. It is a world that is both haunting and scientifically fascinating. Look at these images of the deep. Notice how everything seems slightly off, slightly too large for comfort. These are the titans of the Southern Ocean. You probably think that extreme cold and limited food would force animals to stay small to save energy. Most people assume that biology shrinks in the frost. But nature in Antarctica laughs at our human rules. In this frozen kingdom, the colder it gets, the bigger and more armored these creatures seem to become. The logic of the surface world does not apply here. Colder waters mean more massive bodies. Less food means becoming a living, armored tank of the deep. You are about to discover why the rules of evolution are completely broken in the Antarctic. Prepare to meet the monsters that call these frozen waters home. Let's start with one of the most terrifying sights on the seabed. Imagine your house spider, but 35 times larger, with legs as long as metal skewers. This is the Antarctic giant sea spider. These creatures do not breathe through lungs or gills. Instead, they breathe directly through their porous and thin skin. Because the cold water is packed with oxygen, having longer legs means more surface area to breathe. The bigger they grow, the more oxygen they can absorb. They use a long, straw-like proboscis to pierce the bodies of starfish. They slowly suck out the internal organs like a nightmare smoothie while the prey is alive. Because the water is so cold, their metabolism is incredibly slow. These sea spiders can live for over 140 years in the dark ocean. Think about that for a moment. A single spider crawling in the dark that has lived longer than your grandfather. It is a true relic of time. But if you think a giant spider is scary, wait until you see what is swimming in the open water. Meet the legendary and massive colossal squid. You might have heard of the giant squid, but the colossal squid is much heavier, weighing over 450 kilograms, with eyes like large plates. Their eyes are the largest in the animal kingdom, measuring 27 centimeters across. They need them to spot the faint bioluminescence of prey in the deep. Their deep red skin absorbs almost all light, making them nearly invisible predators. They are masters of the dark, waiting in the silence for something to eat. This is a rare case of double gigantism. They grow large because they live in the deep sea, and even larger because they live in the poles. Now, look up toward the ice. You might see the lion's mane jellyfish. This creature is actually longer than a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth. Its stinging tentacles can reach a staggering 36 meters in length. In warmer waters, these jellyfish stay small, but in the Antarctic, they become floating death traps. Imagine a jellyfish with over 1,200 tentacles, each one filled with enough venom to paralyze a human being in just a few short seconds. It drifts silently through the water like a ghostly curtain of death. One touch is all it takes to end the life of any creature that wanders. Down on the seafloor, even the starfish look different. Instead of the usual 5 arms, these Antarctic starfish can grow up to 50 powerful, reaching arms. They are aggressive predators that move surprisingly fast, hunting and eating other starfish. They are the multi-armed kings of the cold and dark Antarctic continental shelf. Then there is the giant isopod, a creature that looks like a prehistoric pill bug. These armored tanks are the size of a small, heavy dinner plate. They crawl along the bottom like miniature submarines. Their metabolism is so slow that they are almost in a state of permanent frozen animation while they search. These isopods can go years without a single meal, waiting for a carcass to fall from the surface. They are the ultimate survivors of the frozen desert. However, not every creature in these waters follows the rule of becoming a giant. There is a strange, hidden side to this polar law called polar dwarfism. Some species of icefish and snailfish actually evolve to be much smaller. They choose to grow up fast and reproduce early before their food sources disappear completely. This is the dark secret of the ice. While some become monsters, others shrink to survive. It is all part of the same brutal game of polar evolution. From tiny plankton turning into finger-sized giants to spiders with 70-centimeter legs, the scale of life here is completely shifted. Everything is bigger than it should be. You are witnessing an entire ecosystem where being large is the key to survival. The colder the water, the more the traditional rules of biology start to break. So we must ask the big question. Why does freezing water turn everything into a monster? Why is 0-degree water the ultimate fuel for massive biological growth? The answer is found in the oxygen temperature hypothesis. Cold water holds much more oxygen than warm water. This provides a massive energy boost for all marine life. Cold-blooded animals do not need to burn calories to stay warm. They use all that extra oxygen and energy to simply keep growing larger and larger every year. Their slow metabolism means they live longer lives. When you live for a century and have plenty of oxygen, your body just keeps expanding without any limits. This environment is incredibly stable. The temperature and pressure rarely change, meaning animals do not need to be fast. They just need to be big and durable. Warm-blooded animals like penguins and polar bears follow Bergmann's rule. They are large to retain heat, but they never reach the colossal, monstrous sizes of the ectotherms. Polar gigantism is still happening right now in the Southern Ocean. But the world is changing rapidly, and these giants are facing a new and deadly threat. Climate change is causing the oceans to warm up, which drastically reduces the amount of oxygen the water can hold. This is a disaster for giant creatures. Recent studies show that the maximum size of sea spiders has already begun to decrease in areas where the water has warmed by even a few degrees. The colossal squid and giant jellyfish are slowly becoming living relics of a fading era. They were built for a stable, frozen world that is now disappearing. If the oceans continue to warm, these monsters might die because of their own massive size. They simply won't have enough oxygen to power their giant bodies. Next time you imagine the Antarctic, don't think of it as a dead, white desert. Remember that beneath the ice lies a kingdom of ancient, haunting titans. These creatures have survived for millions of years in the dark. They do not hunt humans, but they are a reminder of how strange our planet can be. If the oceans warm up, they might vanish forever, or perhaps they will find a way to adapt that we cannot even begin to imagine right now. What do you think? Would you ever be brave enough to dive into those freezing waters to see these giants for yourself? It is a haunting thought. Tell us in the comments which of these polar monsters creeped you out the most. Was it the giant spider or the jellyfish longer than a whale? If you want to learn about the most dangerous jellyfish on Earth, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss our next deep sea exploration. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying dive into the abyss. We will see you next time, somewhere deep beneath the frozen, dark, and icy waves. The Southern Ocean remains one of the last frontiers on Earth. Its secrets are vast, hidden beneath miles of ice and millions of years of evolution. Every dive reveals new species that defy our understanding of biology. These giants are the true masters of an environment that would kill most other life. Even the smallest movements in this world are calculated and slow. Life here exists in a different timescale, measured in centuries rather than decades. Look at the icefish, another marvel of the poles. They possess no red blood cells, using the high oxygen levels of the water to survive without them. The colossal squid is armed with rotating hooks on its tentacles, designed to grip prey that tries to escape in the slippery, freezing darkness of the deep. Their size is their greatest defense and their greatest mystery. To be a giant in a world of ice is a feat of pure biological engineering. We are only beginning to understand the connection between temperature and size. The poles are a living laboratory, showing us the limits of life on Earth. Even the most common creatures here are specialized. These starfish are not just scavengers. They are active, giant hunters that dominate the seafloor with efficiency. The sheer scale of the lion's mane jellyfish is hard to comprehend. It is a drifting titan, a reminder that the ocean still holds leviathans of old. When threatened, these giant isopods can retreat into their armor. They are perfectly adapted to survive both the pressure and the cold of the Southern Ocean. The physics of the ocean dictates the biology of its inhabitants. Cold water is life-giving, in a way that warm water can never truly replicate for giants. Even the plants and anemones here grow to unusual sizes. It is an entire world of giants, thriving in the most inhospitable place on our planet. Our time in this world is limited by our technology, but for these creatures, the freezing abyss is the only home they have ever known. The balance is fragile. As the ice melts, the environment that created these giants is changing faster than they can likely adapt to the new warmth. We must continue to study these polar giants before they are gone. They hold the keys to understanding how life adapts to extreme environments across the universe. The giants of the Antarctic are a testament to the power of nature. They remind us that the world is much bigger and stranger than we think. Sleep well, knowing that, in the dark, freezing waters at the bottom of the world, monsters are real, and they are thriving in the cold. Will you be the one to find the next great mystery of the deep? The ocean is waiting for those brave enough to explore its freezing heart. Don't forget to check out our other videos on deep-sea mysteries. There is so much more to discover in the dark corners of our blue planet. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious. The monsters of the deep are always there, just waiting for the light to find them again.